Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching OneMindSyndicate. Today we continue talking about greater demons as we get into the Lord of Change, Tzeentch's greater demon. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. If you have any suggestions, comment down below. And if you enjoy our video, thank our patrons on Patreon. Link in the description if you want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Lord of Change. A Lord of Change, also called a Supreme Mutator, or one of Tzeentch's eyes, is an insidious greater demon of the Chaos God of Change and Sorcery. These greater demons appear as towering beings with gangling limbs and a deceptively delicate look. Their long, spiny bodies are topped by a savage, cruel avian head, resting on a long, crooked neck. Their hunched shoulders are often draped with what looks like robes from a high priest or a court wizard from ages long past. Their bent bird-like legs are scaly and end in vicious talons. Their lank arms terminate in broad clawed hands. Great feathered wings sprout from their shoulder blades, glittering and glistening with 1,000 impossible colors. The bones of a Lord of Change are hollow, and despite their enormous size, they barely seem capable of supporting their own weight, often leaning up against immense staffs, etched with innumerable eldritch signs and sigils. Most Lords of Change carry these long ceremonial staffs, which they use to channel their considerable psychic power. These powerful demonic servants of Tzeentch carry themselves with a regal grace, though when driven to action, their savagery is remarkable. All Lords of Change are fearsome fighters, serpent-quick with skin like iron. They are also lore masters and possess a thorough knowledge of the great feints and fighting techniques of the galaxy. Defense with a Lord of Change is to invite one's own ruin. Many overzealous warriors have been felled by their vicious claws, cruel curved beaks, and terrible reaping staffs, disemboweled before they can even lift their blade. These combination of features are as bewildering as they are terrifying, and they are ever-changing, with multi-hued forms that defy mortal reason or logic. However, its most haunting feature are its eyes. Within their infinite depths lies a paradoxical wisdom of Tzeentch, and none can withstand the substantial scrutiny of the Lord of Change's gaze without losing their sanity. It is said that when a Lord of Change looks upon a man, the man's soul is open like a book, revealing his hopes and dreams, as well as the truth of his ultimate failures or successes. Lords of Change are the embodiment of Tzeentch's delight in sorcery, deception, and knowledge. They are the chief agents of the Architect of Fate, and the most powerful of his demonic minions. Despite possessing a small fragment of the immeasurable wisdom of their masters, even they are unwitting pawns to Tzeentch's great and unfathomable plans, a plot of limitless complexity that will come to fruition at the end of time. A greater demon of Tzeentch is driven by the need to redirect the predictable course of history itself, and to see it upon a new, unexpected path. Because of this, a Lord of Change revels in dashing the hopes of the ambitious upon the ground, even while raising penniless nobodies to the pinnacle of power. A Lord of Change is blessed with a multi-layered cunning and blazing intelligence, as well as a deep understanding of the casualty that drives the galaxy in its well-worn rut. There is nothing a Lord of Change despises more than the entrapping comfort of stability and familiarity, and nothing that will please one more than to see the world broken and made anew. A greater demon of Tzeentch delights in bringing order to ruin, so that all may be reshaped and directed to a new path before that too is changed. His minions move throughout real space, undertaking whatever task he has set for them. The killing of a minor mortal, a whisper in a commander's ear, the stealing of a worthless artifact, and 1,000 other seemingly unrelated occurrences that are mistaken for happenstance. Yet each falls into the greater demon's own devious plan, and furthers his labyrinthian schemes. Lords of Change tend to work behind the scenes, pulling puppet strings from the shadows. So subtle are these manipulations, and so skilled, that often the playthings of the Lord of Change remain unaware that they are in the thralls of a deadly demon. Secret chaos cults, heresies, revolutionaries, and even imperial planetary governors have all fallen under the thrall of a Lord of Change at one point or another. Even Tzeentch's bitter foes can be manipulated into fulfilling the great deceiver's end. Under his most powerful demon's careful guidance, brothers can turn against brothers, friend against friend, and even the most zealot of inquisitors can stumble from the path of righteousness. To confront a Lord of Change is to wander through a mist of lies, ever unsure of one's own actions, one false step away from complete corruption. In the rare instance that a Lord of Change is beset, its schemes sundered, and its plans laid to ruin, it will fight like a cornered animal, drawing upon its incredible sorcerous powers to fell its foe directly where deceit and deception have failed. Lords of Change are the greatest chaos sorcerers in the galaxy, and their mastery of magic is without peer. The mightiest psychic powers and spells employed by feeble human psychers and sorcerers are the idle cantrips of a Lord of Change, for a greater demon of Tzeentch is a creature of undiluted warp energy, and the mortal world quakes at its touch. With the merest flick of an elegant claw, bodies mutate and wither, buildings twist and melt, and beings of madness and horror spring forth from running rivers of flesh. Nothing that is done cannot be undone. Nothing that is made cannot be unmade. To prevail against the Lord of Change, one's faith and convictions must be firmer than the foundation of the stars. The Emperor protects, but one's faith must be ironclad in the face of such a horror. The constant appraisal of the galaxy and the interference in its process is not always so subtle. Change can also be sudden and violent, and the Lord of Change will readily wage war to further his own unknown aims. Though these greater demons prefer to remain uncommitted in battle, it is not through lack of courage or ferociousness, but because they wish to direct its forces and control the ebb and flow of the fighting. Few have ever been able to best the Lord of Change, for their patron god is the master of destiny itself, and his greatest servants possess a portion of this power. These Lords of Change have plagued the Imperium for millennia. Deep in the vaults of the Tricorn's librarium lies ancient, dusty tomes that chronicle the Inquisition's initial forays into the newly discovered region of space that would eventually be known as the Calixis Sector. Amongst these ancient records, there is one tome that speaks of the Inquisition's battles against the greater demon known as Marabas, a deceptible servant of Tzeentch. For whatever reason, this Lord of Change plotted against the Imperial Angevin Crusade, which brought the Calix Expanse into the Emperor's light, inspiring heathen worlds encountered by the Imperial forces to resist the interlopers. He also incited pacified worlds to rise up in rebellion across the sector, igniting insurrections on a massive scale and causing unheard of levels of destruction. The Inquisition was hard-pressed on nearly a dozen worlds as they attempted to stamp out the heretical cults and agents of Marabas. They eventually tracked the greater demon to the hive world of Malify, where the foul creature was slain through the valiant sacrifice of the demon hunter, Zalin, as she rammed her gun cutter into a hive spire that the demon occupied. In the wake of the devastation, the demon hunter's surviving followers evoked the rites of banishment, exiling the Lord of Change to the warp for 1,000 Terran years and a day. Over the next millennia, the Inquisition had largely forgotten its past with this vile demon, its attention drifting to more important matters of present day. However, the same cannot be said of Marabas, for during its centuries of exile, the demon has nursed a great grudge against those it deemed responsible for his lamented fate. The creature's banishment has now come to an end. Marabas now prepares to bathe the entire Calixis sector in the blood of innocents and fire once more. Another Lord of Change that is plotting against the Imperium is Shim Drilax Khazar, a commander of the Pyroclastic conclave, a demonic legion in service of Tzeentch. The Pyroclastic conclave is a so-called conflagration legion, a legion dedicated to fiery destruction and centered around formations of flamers of Tzeentch, capable of wielding the most powerful of warp flames. It is one of the many demon legions deployed to the Styges sector by the Architect of Fate in the aftermath of the Great Rift's birth, and played a critical role in the siege of the world of Mordian. And those were 40 facts on the Lord of Change. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, share it with your friends, and thank our patrons on Patreon. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. It's $1 a month. It helps us create more videos. Now, something crazy happened while I was recording this video. Normally, I have to do multiple takes when I'm doing these or when I'm doing the lore videos. But for some reason, with this lore, I was able to read through a big chunk of the actual lore without having to redo them. And while I was doing that, for some reason, a thought popped into my head as I'm talking about how Tzeentch empowers his worshippers to just have immense intelligence and just be extremely just powers of the mind. all of a sudden it started to hit me that it's our emotions that trigger the creation of these chaos gods. And 40K is a fictional world, but it's a fictional world that's destined to be our future. What if what me and the Sound Alchemists are doing, and what OneMindSyndicate is doing, is just creating an archive of lore that is going to, for some reason, last forever and actually start to corrupt the future humanity. It's just a crazy thought that popped into my head, but with all the talk about STCs and how, like, basically what we're doing now, YouTube itself and our channel, is technology from the dark age of technology, and it's venerated by the Imperium. What if my voice, through the schemes of Tzeentch, will carry on into the 41st millennium, and only Tzeentch's lore will make it to an STC, and someday it will corrupt an Inquisitor in the grimdark future of the 41st millennium. Crazy thoughts. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget we have a giveaway going on right now. If you check out our 40 facts on the origins of the Death Corps of Krieg, we're giving away an Imperial Guard starter set. So go over there and link at the end of the video or in the description below for that video, so you can have a chance to win. All you have to do is comment. But thanks for listening, guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gershwan with OneMindSyndicate signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.